Welcome to the January 4th, 2024 issue of the Under the Umbrella podcast from the Big Green Umbrella Media Studio. I'm Cody Williams, Cityview reporter, with Tammy Pearson, Iowa Living Magazine's editor. Tammy, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good. A little cold outside. It's winter, I guess.
Sunny, though.
It is
sunny.
sunny.
Good thing.
And that's most important.
Exactly.
That's Iowans' favorite thing to do. Well, the wind's not bad. The sun's out.
Yep.
That's livable.
It all comes down to the wind.
And you know what? That much I think we can live with. I think we could power through that.
Indeed.
All right. Well, we always like to start it off with something humorous to give everybody a smile. Tammy, how about you read off our joke of the day?
Well, this one got a few laughs, so I'm hoping it's a hit. Cody, what do you call a man who drinks too much Chardonnay and falls off his horse? Answer to come at the end of the podcast.
And I'm going to need that answer.
Give it some thought.
I'm going to be letting that gestate and percolate because I don't have the answer. I even forgot it from earlier this week.
Well, it's a good one.
It is a good one. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys about some of the stories that we've got in Cityview this week, or this month rather, for the month of January. Starting off with Stray Thoughts from Randy Evans. The headline is "Banning is Not the Solution." Randy Evans discusses how the country is split on how to handle religious freedom after the Satanic Temple of Iowa put up a display in the Capitol building. That got headlines from all over the country. That got even worldwide. I think it got some traction over in other countries. But you know, the short of it is they put up a display and eventually it got vandalized on December 14th. But Randy kind of dissects and discusses, you know, how we're kind of split on intellectual freedom and freedom of expressions. And I just thought that was a really good piece. I thought that was pretty interesting to read about and get his perspective on that.
It's definitely a hot button issue.
Mm-hmm. Because there were religious displays, you know, from all corners inside of the Capitol, and that one was the one that got people riled up, understandably, but it got quite a bit of attention.
Indeed. We'll leave it at that.
We'll leave it at that. Don't want to give away too much. It is a great read. It's definitely worth your time.
Yeah, Randy gives a good perspective.
Mm-hmm. Next up, we're going to talk a little bit about Civic Skinny. The headline for that was "Liquor Sales Grow, Air Quality Suffers, Tourism Grants Announced, Register Circulation Drops." I put together some pretty good information in Civic Skinny this month, along with some other Cityview staff. The liquor sales, as reported by the Iowa Alcoholic Beverages Division, they reported on liquor sales for the 2023 fiscal year. You get to read about what liquor sold the most, how much was sold, Iowa's favorite local brews. There were a lot of surprising things in there. I knew that we like to drink as a state here, but I didn't realize we were doing quite that much. It was just under $500 million in total sales, and it continues to rise year after year.
Well, what amazes me is the number of gallons.
Yeah, I never really think about it like that.
When you think of it in gallons, you could fill swimming pools.
Oh, tons. You could. We could put another Gray's Lake out there just with what we sold.
With alcohol.
Yeah. Not to spoil too much, but you can find out Iowans' favorite liquor brands as well. Unfortunately, after their visits, Mark Wahlberg and Jason Momoa, their liquors did not make the top 50.
Next year.
They got them next year. I believe that. Air quality in Iowa suffered a great hit. I won't divulge too much into that, but John Gehring, an ambient air quality expert from the Iowa DNR, shared some really information with me on that subject. The Canadian wildfires hit, affected air quality all over the country, but it was interesting to see how much Iowa got hit with that. And I thought he gave me some pretty good information on that.
It's not something we think about every day, but this year made us more aware, I think, of it when we looked out and saw all that smoky haze in the air. But
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I usually think that I would. We're not that busy. It's not like where we got a bunch of pollution going on. You wouldn't think, but it was interesting to see how much just wildfires in a different country, how much that could affect just our air quality alone.
absolutely.
Travel Iowa gave out grants for tourism, from everything from podcasts, wink wink, to social media to fishing competitions. They gave out a pretty good chunk of change all over the state for different organizations and different municipalities to use for tourism. I thought there were some pretty interesting recipients on there and how much money they got and what they got the money for. I think that's I never heard about something like that. I thought that was great.
That is an interesting read. There's a lot going on in Iowa.
Mm-hmm. And there was also some pretty interesting information on the Des Moines Register and their circulation, how much it continues to drop over the years. The Register used to reach 3 out of every 5 Iowans, and now the Sunday print reached just an average of over 31,000 people in Iowa. That's a far cry from what it used to be.
As a former newspaper person, it makes me sad.
Mm-hmm.
Newspapers across the state are suffering, dailies and weeklies.
Mm-hmm. The next story up was the Political Mercury, done by Douglas Burns. He goes over, he ties in some pretty interesting stuff. He goes over the book A Fever in the Heartland, which he calls an essential read on the courageous woman who brought down the KKK in the Midwest. I thought that was a really informative piece about. He tied in the battle that Iowa journalists fought against the KKK in southern Iowa in the 1920s, and he tied it back in with that book, and I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, I want to read that after looking at Doug's column.
Mm-hmm. Spoiler alert, the KKK lost. I think we did well. But yeah, that was a great story tied into a great book, and it was really definitely worth the read. January marks the signal of our Arts and Entertainment Winter Edition. There's a ton of information in there about events that are going on throughout the cold and chilly months. Even though I was, always subject to really brutal, cold, windy, snowy winters, it's going to be pretty nice this winter, thanks to El Nino. And there's a ton of information there about sporting events, art galleries, dance, theater, music, and just events in general. And it's a really good guide that you can use throughout the next couple months to reference back to, look at what's going on, and just give yourself something to do every weekend or during the week.
We Iowans don't mind going out in the cold and snow to be entertained.
That much is true. And especially if you could definitely find a lot of stuff inside.
Absolutely. It's a great guide. You did a good job, Cody.
Oh, thank you. I forgot to mention that was done by yours truly.
And it's always a good read and lots of great suggestions.
Thank you. Yeah, there's great stuff in there. Next up, you've got Lunch with our Jim Duncan. Jim has wrote about the Iowa food scene for more than 5 decades, so we think he's a pretty good person to sit down with a meal for. He met with Kim Perez at Trella's over soup and salad to discuss her journey to become the CEO of the Des Moines Botanical Garden. I thought that was a great read, getting to learn about somebody who's in charge of one of, our city's biggest attractions.
And interestingly, she's the first who's to be the director whose background is not in horticulture, but in nonprofits. Yeah,
and I think that probably gives her a really interesting perspective and a different way to approach it, and they do kind of go over that in the story, and I thought that was really well done, and it was interesting to just read about her journey, how she got where she is, and what she's doing there now.
Yep, definitely.
All right, that is it for the Cityview topics we have for this month. We'll keep going over other ones as the weeks go on, but those were the ones that we discussed this week, and I will pass it over to Tammy. Oh, or you can read the rest. on cityview.com. You can go to our website, and that's all free. You can hop on our website, go on the digital edition, or hit any of the drop-down tabs and read any of the stories that have been posted this month. They're all worth a good read, but we'll keep going over them throughout the rest of the month.
And what's that website, Cody?
It's www.dmcityview.com.
Check it out.
Check it out.
And from the Living magazines, we have 3 magazines that came out this week, Johnston, Adel, and Winterset. And our cover story this month is called Class Act. Residents share why they continue to expand their horizons through learning. All of the stories are pretty inspiring, why people have continued their education or taking extra classes to learn new hobbies or just to expand their career or their knowledge. And, well, you're probably at an age where you haven't yet started thinking about going back to learn more.
Mm-hmm.
But we have some fascinating stories. Johnston featured Katie Nadler, who is pursuing a nursing degree. She's a mom of 4 and is going back to school to get a new career. And she says she sometimes feels bad about not doing all the things that she used to do as a mother, and sometimes orders pizza too often. But her son tells her that she is doing, quote, more important things, end quote. So that was very touching, I thought.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stories within those. I think that's a great topic that we get to touch on and that our writers do a great job of.
Absolutely. And Katie is going back for a new career, but some of our other people interviewed are just trying to expand their horizons. Chris Hinkleday Plagman in the Adel issue talks about becoming a master gardener. And what I think is fascinating about that program is that you not only further your education, learn more about something that you really enjoy, but then you give back by volunteering and using those skills. Then we have in Winterset some community opportunities to learn new hobbies and pursue passions like dancing and art and other creative endeavors. Mm-hmm. So there's a wide variety of opportunities out there.
There is a ton out there for people to do, and it's something you don't really realize until it's presented to you. And I think those are a lot of great opportunities out there for people.
And I certainly hope that these stories inspire people to take advantage of the many opportunities that are out there and, learn more about those things that you've always been curious about or start a new career.
Mm-hmm.
It's never too late.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
So that's it for Iowa Living magazines. Also look for our regular features. We have our Where We Live. We have our health articles, calendar of events, other community news in each of those issues. All 14 of our Iowa Living magazines can be read online, free of charge. We have new ones coming out every week, so read those at www.iowalivingmagazines.com. Are you ready to hear the answer to that marvelous joke?
I've never been more ready for anything in my entire life, Tammy.
Well, let me repeat.
Yeah, give us a refresher.
What do you call a man who drinks too much Chardonnay and falls off his horse?
What do you call him, Tammy?
A wine-stoned cowboy. Yes. Now, Cody, you did not get that joke.
I didn't get it.
Because you're a little younger and maybe don't know the Glenn Campbell song, A Rhinestone Cowboy.
I don't even know who Glenn Campbell is.
Cody.
Who's Glenn Campbell?
Oh, no. Glenn Campbell is only one of the greatest country and westerns. No, not country and western, just country singers. Oh.
I'll have to consider that a blind spot.
So please, listen to A Rhinestone Cowboy, okay?
I'm going to have to do it.
Yes.
I don't want to miss out on any of the great answers that might be.
And other Glenn Campbell hits.
I'll tap into some Glenn Campbell. Why not?
So let's talk a little, just for a minute before we sign off, about the things that are going on in our office this week. And I understand you had an interesting interview yesterday.
I did. Just on the 3rd, I was able to talk to the lead ambient and reptile zookeeper at the Blank Park Zoo, Amara Austin. We were able to sit down and talk about some of the things that she does on a day-to-day basis, how she got into zookeeping, what she does, some of her favorites, and you can tell that she's really passionate about what she does and how much she enjoys it. And she talks a lot about how much birds, she works with birds mostly. She said that's about 90%, I think, of what she does. How big personalities they have. And I thought that was so interesting because my grandma has birds, but you don't really think you'd say a dog or a cat, they have such a big personality, and I don't think you would really consider that with other animals, and birds, I think, fall into that. And it's interesting to hear that perspective on somebody who deals with them every day, and how the birds have favorites, and she has favorite birds, and they react to different things, and they react to different people. And I thought that was a lot of fun. That was a really fun interview.
When can we read that story?
That will be debuting in the February edition of 2024. That'll go out the first Thursday of February. I don't know what that is off the top of my head. It might be the 1st. But yeah, that'll be out next month. That was a lot of fun to get the ball rolling on that story. It's something I've been looking forward to for a while, and I had a lot of fun with it. I'm looking forward to writing it.
Great. I look forward to reading it. And we've also been busy in the office, we must say, with preparations for the Best of Des Moines.
That's absolutely right.
Which is coming up here quickly, and those winners will be announced in the February issue. So watch for that. That's our biggest issue of the year.
Very exciting. Very exciting stuff in there. And a congratulations to all the winners. We won't spoil anything, but
that's right.
Congratulations to all the winners, all the runners-up, and a big thank you to all of the voters. It's incredibly appreciated.
Absolutely.
That just about does it for us here at Cityview. We want to thank you all for listening.
To Under the Umbrella.
Under the Umbrella. Yes. We hope you enjoyed it. You can read all of our publications online. www.dmcityview.com. You can read the Iowa Living magazines at www.iowalivingmagazines.com.
And you can receive the Daily Umbrella, our Monday through Friday newsletter at www.thedailyumbrella.com. And you can sign up for emails on all of those on any of the websites. So
that's absolutely right. Oh, well, for the first time, thank you so much for listening. We want to thank you all so much, and we look forward to bringing this to you more in the future.